So Dr. Belynder and I were just talking how we we've been working on making this chat happen. So what do they say? Good things you have to wait for? The best things you
That's
have
so
to
kind of
be
you.
patient about?
No, you've been wonderfully patient, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, life happens, things happen, so some people take it personally, which I don't know exactly what your field of study is, but I know a lot of people have a ego problem where someone's like, "Oh, you're not showing up? Well, you're not coming on." Sort of mentality. And I mean, it's always good to give
Yeah,
people grace and give people the benefit of the doubt, at least in the beginning of any relationship. And then obviously, if you find someone who's possibly, seeing how far they can go, how far they could take advantage of someone's kindness, then you start to, put up some boundaries and put up some walls in those sort of situations. So I'm glad that you're here.
absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And of course, ego does come into it, but of course, you've got to value other people's time. And as you mentioned earlier, at least reschedule, at least let that person know you're not showing up. Well, things like that, that's so important to be transparent and let others know what you're doing, what your plans are. It's
Yeah.
it's you know, you're valuing that other person's time as well, aren't you? It's building those relationships. They're so important. And, I know I've heard what you do and how you started off, and it's not really fair for people to take things like that for granted either. Of course, your time is valuable. And it's the indication of your worth as well, how much you're going to put up with and having those healthy boundaries, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to put up a boundary with people, especially if someone wants something for free. You have to be like, all right, well, I can do this, but I'm only going to spend X amount of minutes with you. And, I don't know. Everyone wants everything for nothing.
Oh,
Some
isn't
people,
that the case?
yeah.
Yeah.
But just like real briefly for everyone that's listening, could you just like explain like what your area of expertise is?
Yes, of course. So I'm a psychotherapist by profession, and my area of expertise is anxiety and building a healthy self relationship. So it's all about having that relationship with yourself, with others, with life in general, with money.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, a lot of people tie certain things like their finances, and it tends for a lot of people to become part of their identity, or people's past becomes part of their identity, like such as I see this one person on social media who is their demographic is women empowerment in the finance field, but then they find like certain villains to like attack and be like, don't ever like listen to this person, sort of deal. So it
Mhm.
like from your point of view, when you like see those things, like obviously like let's just say I'm married, I have kids, I like the golf, I find other people out there who are married have kids like the golf. Like we have those sort of connections. From your like point of view though, where are people taking some things that maybe they have like a common thread with someone and like flipping it to like I guess like play with people's emotions almost, like really like trigger them and like get them riled up?
It usually comes from a place of their own insecurity, doesn't it? I
Hmm.
mean, if we talk about relationships in general, and even like earlier on when I was messaging and I was saying the focus of money, money is really just about numbers. It's deeply emotional, often shaped by our early experiences. And that's most of people's relationship with others, whether it's through social media, with people's interaction with life in general. People experiences are shaped in their childhood. And as children, we absorb different cues from society, parents, and it's of that avoidance of not actually addressing what it is internally that we need to recognize within ourselves. And most of the time, when people are saying something very negative about others, it's coming from a place of fear and sabotaging other people's relationships or communications coming from that lack of security. And a lot of people indulge in that kind of behavior because it makes them feel good. Ego does come into it. It makes them, if they put somebody else down, it's they feel they're putting themselves a step up. Not always the case, but majority, generally speaking, that's where it's coming from. And the messages that they've had throughout their childhood in their subconscious mind, it these scripts are what shape how we as human beings um, interact with others. And it's only through our own self awareness, really, that we start recognizing the good, the bad, the ugly aspects of ourselves that we can then reflect and realize within ourselves that what we're doing and how we're behaving towards other people isn't always the way that we want others to behave around us.
Hmm.
Sometimes when I talk about ego, it could be a power trip for some people. It makes them feel superior. It all depends. Every individual is unique. Every situation is unique. So it all depends.
So,
But
so like how could someone, let's just say they grew up in a household and their household instilled into them some negative like thought loops. Is there like a method or a strategy someone could start to implement to get out of that loop?
well, it's recognizing what those symptoms, triggers, and habits that person has. You see, what happens in life generally, and I'm sure you've come across this, Joshua, where you've had people that have had those negative loops throughout their life and they want to escape it, but they sometimes find themselves falling into those same patterns and history repeats itself. We call this transgenerational patterns, and it becomes an automatic response, how we behave and how we don't realize it within ourselves. And this is why I talk about self awareness so much, because it's so important that you actually recognize and reflect on your own behavior. You actually understand what it is you're feeling, what it is that's, a trigger for you, what is the symptoms that you feel. What is it that you can recognize within yourself instead of looking outwardly all the time and blaming others or blaming society or blaming your upbringing or anything like that? What is it internally? And a lot of people are afraid to look internally. They don't know how to. One of the tools that I would say would be the meditation, the self hypnosis, and actually recognizing a little bit more about who you are, what your I know a lot of people now are saying don't talk about purpose so much, but what is your purpose? What is it that you can say, this is me, this is my personality, this is my character? It's not by what others have told me, it's what I recognize within myself. And you're able to follow that moral compass and actually follow your own intuition of understanding yourself.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's tough for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through the same thing, is being a trusting person. But then when you're trusting and then people take advantage of that trust, because when someone sees something in you that they may not have and they feel like they could possibly, uh, capitalize or take advantage of it, it could leave you vulnerable if you don't know how to navigate those waters. And at the same time, then it starts to get people like skeptical of everyone. Like, oh no, is this person gonna, uh, take my money and then not deliver on what I purchased? Or is this person gonna do this or this person gonna do that? Like, that's, I think, one of the toughest things, for myself is like, how do you have to believe in people because people can help you and not all people are bad. So that's what I always tell myself whenever, I'm signing up for a service or I'm talking to someone. I just always make sure to tell myself like, hey, not everyone's a bad person. Most people are good. That's what I believe. Most people are good.
We like to believe that people are like us. And often when we have that internal expectation and we're disappointed, then of course we lose that element of trust or we get that anxiety because that alarm system goes off and we don't feel safe. We've all the triggers surface, things that we have held on to previously. I mean, I say to people, anxiety is in your DNA. It's an internal alarm system. It reminds you that you're safe. And when that actual alarm system, internal alarm system goes off, then we get worried about who we're interacting with. Before we actually sign up a deal or talk to someone, we have that fear factor within us because of our past experiences, because people have let us down in the past, because people, you know, we don't want to not trust someone, but because we've been disappointed in the past, that anxiety and alarm system says, well, you've got to be careful because this has happened to you before and you've been here before. So just have your backup, make sure that you're, firm about what you desire and what you want. So I think we all have an element of that where we trust others, but it's just something, it's a risk factor, isn't it? People do take you for granted. It's just your judgment has to, you can't judge your own judgment, if that makes sense. You can't, if you feel intuitively something feels right and you feel safe with the person and communicating, you can only do your best to trust the situation and the person and whatever the circumstances are and go with the flow of it. Or you can actually spiral back to past memories that are being triggered due to experiences that you might be having right now. I mean, it's a shame that you've had to go through that. And I can completely empathize and relate to it because we've all been let down by someone, whether it's clients, family, friends. There's always been that little part of us thinks, oh, I hope they're not going to disappoint me, or the client's going to show up, or something positive is going to come out of this. And yes, if it doesn't, my theory is don't be bothered. Just be present. They could have a million reasons why they're not showing up or why they're not signing on or why they're behaving um, what you might think is out of character.
Yeah, one of the things I believe is either you're going down the right path or the wrong path. And when you're making bad decisions, sometimes you're going down the wrong path and you could be getting a false sense that you're actually moving towards the right path if you're doing like the wrong things or you're taking advantage of people. And then eventually, over the course of time, it negatively rewards you versus sometimes going down the right path means more struggle now, like looking at other people, cut corners to do things and they have more success now, but simply by like delaying that gratification and doing the right thing ultimately puts you on that right path and it protects you from perhaps someone who doesn't come into your business and signs up as a client even though you wanted to sign them up in the present because maybe like, hey, I need the money right now or something. But ultimately down the road, it's like protecting you from something detrimental that that person could bring into your life.
I do understand that. And I think what most people say now is, what lessons have you learned from that then? What can you say you've gained? Because as I mentioned earlier, it's so easy for us to, we're very quick as human beings to blame others, society, social media, um, for, I would say, a little bit for the lack of responsibility we owe ourselves. And what I mean by that is we're very quick to jump hoops and do things for others to make sure um, they don't get trapped into certain situations, and we don't have that responsibility for ourselves often. We still want to please others or accommodate others or not let anyone else down. But when we know from past experiences, especially if it's happened more than once, that somebody has let us down or they've not signed up for a, a service that you're providing, it doesn't mean we can't take it personally. But what we've got to learn from that is, what do we owe ourselves? What value do we give ourselves? Are we going to allow this person to take advantage of us? Are we going to actually set those healthy boundaries and let the person know how they've impacted us? What would you do in that situation? Um, if it's a client, I would be very frank with them and talk to them exactly the way that you would want somebody to provide a service to you. I would express that to them as well. I think, again, it's very personal. I need more of an insight of what you're talking about to actually be able to give you, because everything I'm saying is very generic. It's easy for me to say these things. It's easy to talk about, oh, well, don't worry about it, learn those lessons. But really, it comes back to that self-awareness. How much are you going to tolerate? What is your self-worth and your net worth, and with this connection and these people? I mean, many people unconsciously tie their self-worth to their net worth. And if they're not happy with a service that they've not even given themselves an opportunity to experience, then what does that mean to you? Are you going to approach them? Are you going to talk to them about it? Are you going to just let it fade away? What value? You see, value isn't determined by people not signing up or not actually investing in you. What is it that would help you develop that internal validation? What is it about you that you recognize? What reflection of who you are and what you're bringing to the table are you learning from the lesson? Not what they're doing, but focus on you. How has it impacted you? What have you learned from that? You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, what I've learned is I can't help everyone, and no matter how much you want to help everyone, not everyone wants your help, and you just have to accept that. So, as long as I approach someone with respect and coming from a good place, if they decide to accept or not to accept what I'm offering to possibly help them, if they decide that we could work well together, then that's their choice, and that's okay.
Absolutely. And that's the part of you that's got to learn not to be disappointed as well. Do you
Yeah,
feel disappointed at times?
I used to feel disappointed. Now I just look at it as like, okay, whatever. Someone else is gonna want my help. So if if someone doesn't decide to, move forward with something, I just look at it as like, all right, this is an opportunity for me to help someone else by not working with this person. So, but in the beginning of any business, it's hard because in the beginning, if anyone wants to talk to you, it's exciting. It's like, oh, someone actually wants to talk to me, and then they don't sign up. You're like, oh gosh, I don't know if anyone's gonna want to talk to me again. But that's just like the beginning phases of starting anything. It's challenging to find people who want your help because no one knows who you are, how you could possibly help them when you're first starting out.
And are you getting them to invest in you and what you do financially? Or is it problem solving? Is it always money causing the issue?
Well, people typically come when they are looking for a solution to something that's going on in their situation. So, depending on what they're looking for, I first got to determine, am I able to help them? And if I'm able to help them, let's figure out a way where we could put a strategy together where it makes sense for everyone. So I like to keep things open ended and not put things into a box. So that way people can feel empowered to make the choice that they want to make. And if someone wants to buy the lowest investment service, they can buy the lowest. If they want to buy the highest, they can buy the highest. If they want to find somewhere in between, that's cool too. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I think the person you're working with and the people that work with you, it's all about rewiring those beliefs, isn't it? About becoming conscious of those previous stories that we all have experienced when we're going for any type of service or, product that we're buying into. And it's having that belief system in you. Of course, if you're new and you're trying to get yourself out there, it's all about having that exposure, having those testimonies. It's just the beginning, but you've got to understand within yourself what your beliefs are. Again, what's your conscious story in relation to your worth and your value and what you're bringing into your organization, your company. Because I know that you help people with financial growth. I understand all of that. And I also understand you're a fellow author as well, which is wonderful. And, you know, again, that story, that narrative that you have within yourself, what is that about? What are your um, what's your story about money and your business? I mean, it's such a sensitive topic anyway, finances,
Yeah.
isn't it, to a lot of people? And especially if they want health and growth, then of course your audience is huge. It has to, that's what's going to help you grow within your business. All of these things come into play. So it's interesting because I some time ago, I think it was last November or October, I heard a little about your story, and I know it wasn't easy for you as well. Are you holding on to that response? Is that what triggers you, you know, in business? Because I think a lot of people don't realize this, that our nervous system and financial triggers plays a big role in how we react to clients, money, closing deals, all of that.
Mhm.
And we go into without realizing, the fight or flight response and sometimes freeze response. And of course, others might not, if they're wanting that help with that financial growth and that financial decision, they maybe there's a part of something that you might have shared that they fear, okay, how do we go forward?
Mhm.
Where's the growth? Which show us the growth aspect within your experience, your business.
The
What are
growth
you, what's
aspect
your story?
of the growth aspect of like
Your like your business, people majority of the time are always anxious to invest. And they're always anxious to invest in something where they feel. Did you ever watch that movie, Jerry Maguire? I'm going into Jerry.
show me the money.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking of Jerry Maguire. I tell you why. Because it just took one person to trust him for him to then feel, yeah, I haven't got any evidence of what I can do, but I'm going to prove that I can be successful and I can get this person to the standard they need to be. And the trust element does come into it. But I think when you're not signing the deals and clients aren't coming through or something's not working out for you, the questions you've got to ask are within yourself. What's my story? What strategy am I portraying that's not attracting people to close the deal with me?
Hmm.
You know, is it, are you asking the right questions, whether affordability and budget is there for them? Is that what you're working with?
Uh, it all depends on, I mean, like your business, not, I mean, you are in a business, but I mean, the business of helping people. Everyone's situation is different. But the problems are the same, but the people are different, and each person is unique. Um, but I mean, ultimately, it comes down to is like one, like some people want help, but they're not willing to invest, even if it's like a dollar. Some people aren't even willing to invest a dollar. They're just like, oh, I don't, why should I spend money on this? Because they have a, from my point of view, those folks unfortunately have a view of themselves that they don't see the value in investing in themselves by having someone help them do better. Just because maybe that's what they were taught. It's like, oh, like, why would you spend money on that? That's silly. Versus you talk to some people who spend a ton of money working with people and coaches and things because they see the value in working with someone and getting a different point of view. I actually saw something interesting the other day. Someone said they spent like money on like a business coach or something. And they said the business coach told them like nothing that they didn't already know. And they said it was worth the money to pay to hear that they were on the right path from someone else just to get that validation.
Hmm.
And I found that interesting because some person who maybe is negative is like, why did I just spend that money? I didn't learn anything. Versus that framework that of mindset was more of like, I paid for someone to look at my situation and to tell me like, hey, you're doing all the right things. Stay on this path. Because I mean, that's valuable in itself. Because some people are like jumping from thing to thing, and sometimes staying on the right path means just keep doing the things that you're doing, even though you're not seeing the results that you want today. However, you're laying the foundation brick by brick so you can have the path for your future.
Yeah, no, I think it's really a very complex issue because I've come across this as well, where people have invested a ton load of money for something that they already know and they want validation for. And it it makes them feel less stressful if they are getting that confirmation from someone. And I think it comes down to just knowing your worth. Again, I keep using that word about your own worth, because I think it's one of those things. I think I think internally, we all have our own ideas about our relationship with money. I think we all have, whatever the relationship is. Some people come across very confident with how they value money
Mm-hmm.
and how they can present their product and how they can sell things, whether it's a service or product. And I think those ideas and beliefs come from um, our society, who we've been, our immediate environment, who we've been brought up with. And the reason why I'm going down this path is because I did question myself at the beginning as well. I was doing a lot of pro bono work, a lot of pro bono work, and I couldn't get myself out of it. And so I got stuck in this loop of providing a service for nothing. And I realized that I was aiming at the wrong audience because a lot of the people that I was working with were um, with suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that the part of me that was very empathetic couldn't then say to someone who might be suicidal, due to financial stress, or here's your invoice. And yet I continued to work with the suicide prevention. And I realized very quickly, I'm not going to get anything here. I have to change my trajectory and my audience and who I want to work with. So I started focusing more on myself. Again, I looked at where my triggers were coming from, why I was feeling like I had to be that caregiver and provide for everyone. And I have to work really hard to do so. And so I, through self hypnosis, reflected on my childhood, my surrounding, why I got the beliefs and ideas that I did, why I felt that I had to give my service away for nothing. Oops, sorry about that. My light's gone. Why I had to give my service away for nothing. And very quickly, I realized that I was just doing exactly what my father used to do. My father used to do this. He used to give goods and products on credit to people. He wouldn't even take money. He used to, if he was counting any cash, he would look at me very sternly and say, "You have to work very hard for this money. You have to, you know, it doesn't come easy. And you've got to be able to, and when you get it, and when you finally do get it, you've got to hold on to it." And those ideas and beliefs were embedded in my mind. And I realized, of course, he's giving his products away for free. And I've picked that habit up. That's something that I've learned from him. It's something that I've realized I have a tendency to do. I don't know if it's been the same for you and if that's been the case.
Well, in the beginning, you don't even know how to find, for myself, I didn't even know how to like find people to help. So in the beginning, I would take meetings for free. And then after that meeting, I would present something. Hey, if you want to dive deeper or move to the next piece, this is what it looks like. Or in the beginning, I would help someone for free and then I would ask for something in return. Maybe it's non-monetary and it could be something small. And I believe in the act of at least asking for something in return. Once you feel like in your heart, like, hey, like I've helped this person out, I've provided them with value to get them where they want to go. Now, I'm not greedy for asking for something in kind in return. I think it's just keeping the playing field even.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing to do. Of course it is, because that's something that I was told as well, that even if you are giving a service for free, at least ask for a testimonial or, get something out of kind in return, because of course it's validating yourself as well. And I think, it's really hard in what you do, especially because how do you help someone who already feels stuck financially because of whatever fear they might be carrying?
Mm. You
It's
you really
really
can't you
diff.
really can't.
You can't, can
Well,
you?
I mean, you talk to
And
someone who has like $20,000 in credit card debt, and it's like, well, you can't pay a few $100s to have someone help you, but you had no problem spending tens of thousands of dollars on things. Now they're tangible things, and they could be fun things, like maybe went on some vacations, or you bought a lot of items that you never could have when you were growing up, and now you got a credit card and you started making up for lost time. However, sometimes the best things that you can invest in are the things that aren't like physical, such as like your health. Your health is important, peace of
yeah,
mind, feeling secure in where you're at and knowing that you're on the right path versus just being anxious about money or job or relationships. Peace of mind, I think a lot of people, I don't know if you could put a price on peace of mind. I
yeah,
mean, you probably
no.
could, but I mean, it's one of those things that are, you have peace of mind, it allows you to do a lot of good things because
Yeah.
you're thinking clearly and you're not just like running from place to place all the time, thinking like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta go here, I gotta go there.
Yeah, I think how people personally manage their money is all about their money, energy, or mindset, isn't it? And a lot of people uh, they just don't know how to deal with those money worries. And those money worries are constant. So when they've already got that money worry there, it's very hard for them to then think about more investments or something else that they're going to have something to worry about. Because I think, we're in society where we're on my uncle always used to say this. He said, we're on borrowed time, but we're also on borrowed money, aren't we? Because, you know, we go in with that mindset that, oh, okay, we're going to get our mortgage deal with a good interest rate, not recently, but we're going to invest in this and we're going to get our credit cards out. And you were saying earlier, some of your clients having 20 plus on their credit cards. And it's easy for the prefrontal cortex to actually believe, oh, this is a great deal. And I've got this for another 2 years that I don't have to worry about the interest or anything. But the anxiety within that person, the alarm bells are going off, and they are saying to the nervous system, oh, you know what? Anything else that's got to do with money or investing, don't go there because there's no long term plan in this. And there's no guarantee there will be zero interest in return. And so that fear factor kicks in. And I think that's what you probably have to deal with your clients, where that fear factor does kick in, because it's the fear of failure, the reality of the situation, the fear of not having enough, the fear of being judged, even by, I know you wouldn't do that, but you're the person they're dealing with and you're the person they're talking to. Of course, they're going to have that fear factor in their mindset, aren't they? So I think, again, um, a lot of people don't want to face that reality or take responsibility of these things. And it does come to that. And how do you deal with something like that? You've got to understand why you have that mindset, why you're avoiding that bank statement, or where is that fear coming from? And actually, the mindset needs reframing to help them feel more in control. So I know you're not a therapist, but maybe that might be something you can integrate in your work where you're actually saying, okay, where did you develop these habits of spending? Why do you feel it's pressure of society keeping up with what you desire, luxury goods? Is it a habit you feel somebody in your family that you've watched may have developed? Just getting to know a little bit more about your clients on a personal level might help you understand their story. It might help them understand their story. It might be, it's like a healing uh, any relationship. You need that awareness, you need that compassion, and you need that consistent action, don't you? And I think in your field of work, you probably have to take that direction because you're actually trying to teach people how to uh, manage money. And that might be something completely new to them that they've never had to address before.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
a big
mean,
responsibility for you, isn't it?
uh, well, with great power comes great responsibility, as they
Yes.
said, as Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man. And I mean, that's the reason a lot of people want to work with me is because my success is dictated on their success, and their failure would also be my failure. So we're tied, we're woven from the same cloth. So I tell people if I do a bad job, I would go out of business, and I don't want to go out of business. So I have no choice but to do a really good job. So I've given myself no opportunities to, find a way out. There's no easy road. Like I have to do the work. I have to stay on top of things. Otherwise, I might have to go get a real job one day. And I told myself I'm never going back to get a real job one day. So I'm going to stay here, do my best. I'll probably make mistakes. I will make mistakes because everyone makes mistakes. However, the difference is for myself is I like to, when I make a mistake, I acknowledge the mistake and then I figure out was this avoidable? Was it unavoidable? Some things happen without, you know, they're outside of everyone's control. And sometimes you just have to roll with the punches and respond versus react and get in a rut and complain and then make excuses. Be like, oh, this didn't work because XYZ happened versus XYZ happened. Why did it happen? And what can I do to bounce back?
It's true. And I think it comes back down to what we were saying earlier. We've got to find a connection between self-worth and net worth. And I think a lot of people in the world, throughout the world, feel like their value depends on how much they earn or own.
Hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of people they define. I mean, money doesn't define you, but they do define their worth based on their bank accounts and their ownership of things. And when someone's self-esteem is low, they might undercharge or overspend to feel better or avoid money altogether. And I think I think from what you've disclosed today, I feel a lot of your clients that may sign up, well, you've got a whole variety of people I know, but the ones that you were talking about earlier that don't sign up, I feel they're probably coming from a place where they're avoiding dealing with the issue and those money issues altogether,
Yeah.
maybe. And
Well,
I I think that's where again people need help to separate their identity from their income and so they can make clearer and healthier choices so they can have that peace of mind. I think also it's I think it's really lovely that you help the people the way that you do and what you do. I think people need it, but I think a lot of your job and my job as well, when I'm working with people and they have got emotional wealth issues or insecurity financially, regardless of their income, they've got that emotional wealth um, is is not there. What am I trying to say here? Let me get my words right. Give me a moment. So what I'm trying to explain here is people have to know what the emotional wealth means to them. Okay. And when they're wanting assistance, whether it's emotionally or financially, they've got to feel confident and peaceful, regardless of what the cost of something might be or what their income is. It's knowing that they are getting the tools to help them cope with any uncertainty and that they may have financially or emotionally. That and anyone that works with you or therapists like me, how they can feel empowered in their decisions is by working with people like us. It's because we're the people that will help them find that balance and help them not feel stuck with money, for example, or their anxiety, knowing that they're not alone and knowing that everybody goes through some point of struggle and that there is a way out. There is that you owe it to yourself in kindness to be able to help yourself and go follow anything through that you need assistance in. And of course, I think that's where you and I have that similarity. We're there to guide people, aren't we? We're there to help them find that balance in their life.
Yeah, everyone has a choice, and sometimes you can choose to get the help when you need it, and sometimes you will just choose to not take action. But it comes down to whether or not you're ready to make a change. And positive changes are hard. All changes are hard. So love that. Loved having you on. We'll see everyone next time. Bye, everyone.